In 2002, if you had met Jason Padgett in Tacoma, Washington, you wouldn't have mistaken him for a scholar. He was a man defined by the surface of things. A college dropout and a self-described gym rat furniture salesman, his life revolved around hair care, tight shirts, and the pursuit of the next party. He was the kind of person who saw a tree as wood, a lake as water, and math as a confusing headache from a high school classroom he had long since escaped. His world was physical, simple, and entirely devoid of numbers. But on the night of September 13th, the simple world Jason knew was about to be shattered into an infinite series of complex geometric fragments. The shift happened with the suddenness of a lightning strike. As Jason left a karaoke bar, two men ambushed him from behind. A brutal blow to the back of his head sent a shockwave through his skull, followed by a flurry of kicks as he lay on the pavement. In those violent moments, his brain was rattled with such force that it sustained a severe concussion and triggered a deep internal hemorrhage. At the time, the doctors at the emergency room saw only the trauma, the bruised ribs, the bleeding kidney, and the bruised brain. They treated his physical wounds, checked his vitals, and sent him home to rest, unaware that the impact had effectively rebooted the way Jason Padgett processed existence. When Jason woke up the next morning, the reality he had inhabited for 31 years had vanished. As he walked toward the bathroom, he noticed the world was glitching. When he turned on the faucet, the water didn't look like a continuous stream. It looked like a slow-motion film reel composed of individual, crystalline frames. He saw lines, tangential lines, radiating from every point of motion. Every curve in the sink, every reflection in the mirror, and every speck of dust in the air was suddenly overlaid with a shimmering mathematical grid. It was as if he had been living in a low-resolution world his entire life and had suddenly been forced into a high-definition reality where the source code of the universe was visible to the naked eye. This newfound vision was not a gift at first, it was a waking nightmare. Terrified that he was losing his mind, Jason descended into a period of intense isolation. He became a hermit, crippled by the onset of severe post-traumatic stress disorder and an obsessive-compulsive need to understand the shapes he was seeing. He covered his windows with blankets to block out the overwhelming visual stimuli, and began washing his hands obsessively, driven by a fear of the germs he now imagined as geometric intruders. But in that darkness, a compulsion grew. He felt an uncontrollable urge to document what he saw. He didn't have the mathematical vocabulary to explain it, so he reached for a pencil and a ruler. For years, Jason sat at his table drawing. He produced thousands of incredibly intricate sketches, vast, repetitive patterns known as fractals. He drew the way light bent around a corner, the way a circle was actually composed of an infinite number of straight lines, and the way the Pythagorean theorem lived within the structure of a snowflake. He was obsessed with the idea that the world was pixelated at the Planck scale. One afternoon, while drawing in a local mall, he was approached by a man who recognized the complexity of his work. The man was a physicist, and he looked at Jason's sketches with disbelief. He told him, "You are drawing the geometric representation of the theory of relativity. You are drawing fractals." Jason's response was a simple, confused question: "What's a fractal?" This encounter set Jason on a journey from the outskirts of Tacoma to the leading edge of neuroscience. He eventually traveled to Finland to be studied by Dr. Berit Brigard, a philosopher and neuroscientist. Through functional MRI scans, researchers discovered something miraculous. The trauma to Jason's brain had caused functional reorganization. While certain areas of his brain had been damaged, others, specifically the left parietal cortex, where we integrate sensory information and mathematical logic, had gone into overdrive to compensate. He was diagnosed with Acquired Savant Syndrome. His brain was now wired to bypass the filters that normally prevent humans from seeing the underlying mathematical structure of the world. He had become a literal mathematical marvel, one of only about 40 people in recorded history to gain such abilities through injury. Today, the man who once cared only about his reflection in a gym mirror has become a globally recognized artist and a profound voice in the study of human potential. Jason Padgett's life serves as a living bridge between the world of art and the world of physics. He no longer sees his injury as a tragedy, but as a doorway. When he looks at a leaf, he sees the Fibonacci sequence. When he looks at the sun, he sees the geometry of light. He has authored a memoir, Struck by Genius, and spends his time showing the world that math isn't just a series of cold equations in a textbook. It is a beautiful, living, and breathing tapestry that connects every single one of us. To Jason, there are no smooth curves in nature, only infinite lines and triangles, a realization that reminds him every day that even in the most violent of accidents, there can be found a perfect, mathematical grace.